When you consider getting a vehicle, and a vehicle could mean anything, not just necessarily a car. It could be other things as well, like musical instruments, if they're expensive, like a piano, for example, construction equipment, and so on. So the same procedure kind of works with everything else that you can rent or lease. But in general, when we talk about getting a vehicle, there are four basic options to get one. One of those is you have all the money and you buy it straight up. The other one is renting it, and renting is a short term, whereas leasing would be a longer term. So renting would be for a few weeks, maybe a few days, whereas leasing is a longer term. In terms of your house, when it comes to leasing a house versus renting a house, leasing means you're going to buy it at some point in time. That's the idea behind leasing a house. Whereas renting is, there is going to be an end to your rent at some point in time. So that's the difference between renting and leasing a house. Whereas a car, renting a car means you do it for a few weeks or at most. And leasing means you do it for a longer period of time, 2-3 years. Now, those are three options. Then there's the financing option, and that means you can't pay for it, but you're willing to pay for it on a monthly basis. So this is a regular payment. Financing means you have a regular payment, but you pay for a loan that you've taken out. And buying means you have the money available to you. Now, when you finance, you are borrowing money to pay for the entire vehicle at one point or in the beginning, which means that whatever your vehicle was purchased at, you included the taxes there, and you will pay for those taxes with the loan that you took out. Okay, so there are your taxes, and that's it. However, when you rent or when you lease, you're paying taxes on a regular basis. And so that's a little bit of a difference between renting and leasing versus financing or buying. Let me go through some examples here. In the first example, I have a lease for $360 per month, and it will always say that this is plus taxes. So you need to add taxes to the $360. And that happens for a 4-year lease. Now, to be able to get this lease, you have to make sure that you have $2,800. That's a down payment. You need to be able to pay $2,800 up front. Okay, so that's the first part of the question. And here's how we calculate the price for this. In other words, what is my entire payment for the lease? So here we have our $360 per month. That I will multiply by the taxes, or figure out, I will add the taxes to it. So either multiply it by 0.13 and then add 360, or multiply it straight up by 1.13. Now this is with a 13% tax, and I've kept this example here, but at this time we have a 12% tax. So at this time that the video was made, we have a 12% tax. However, based on your current tax rate, that's what you want to use. So if it's 13%, 14, or 12%, whatever you want to use, or whatever the current rate is, that's what you want to use here. So $360 multiplied by 1 and 0.13, that gives you $406.80. So that's my lease payment with taxes included. Now, it says that I have to pay it every month, and I have a 4-year lease. So how much do I pay altogether over these 4 years? Well, in 1 year, I will pay 12 times, and then multiply that by 4 years gives me 48 times altogether. So this number comes from 12 times a year multiplied by 4 years. And so that gives me my entire lease payments. However, remember there was a down payment of $2,800 that is still required. And so my total will have to include that money that I had to pay to actually be able to take out the car or to lease the car. And so that total is $22,326.40. So that's the price for leasing this car for 4 years. Now, usually when you lease a car, then you can give it back. But a lot of times leasing is, I can't pay this right now. I can't pay for the entire car right now. And so therefore, I will lease it and then I will buy it later on. And so that's usually your next step after you're done the lease. So the residual value of the vehicle at the end of the lease is $17,602. And that's again before taxes. Now let me just talk about this phrase here, the residual value. Residual value basically means the value that is left over. Okay, so the car was not worth $17,000 4 years ago. We all know that cars depreciate in value. So after 4 years, the price has dropped down to $17,602. So after you leased it for 4 years, the new price now of the car after those 4 years is $17,602 before taxes. So we want to find out the total lease payment and then the total cost if the vehicle is purchased at the end of the lease. So what we already found out was the total lease payments. Now we want to figure out, what if I purchase this vehicle? How much is that going to cost me, and how much is this going to be together, the leasing and then purchasing the car at the end? So let's look at the purchase price first. Since the car is now worth $17,602 before taxes, I will just include the taxes. I will add the taxes to my $17,000 to that residual value. And that gets me a price of $19,890. So after those 4 years of leasing, if I want to buy the car, I still have to pay $19,890.26. So how much did I pay then altogether? If I bought the car after I leased it, well, that's my lease payment, which included the down payment, plus whatever it was priced at afterwards. Adding those two together gives me the total payment that I had to pay for this car. Now that is how you go through leasing a vehicle. When you want to find out the payment throughout the lease, make sure that you add taxes to your monthly payments, unless it says taxes included. Make sure you figure out how much you have paid altogether, and make sure you include a down payment if there is one. And then if you want to buy the car afterwards, make sure that you include taxes in there as well, unless the question says taxes included. Here's one more thing. The residual value could be a percentage of your vehicle's initial price. So if your vehicle was priced at $30,000 initially, so $30,000 initially, let's say, and then it says that your residual value, RV, is equal to or is 65% of 30,000. To find out what that is, you would just have to multiply 30,000 by 0.65. And that would be your residual value. Okay, so sometimes it gives you the residual value as a percent of your initial price. So just keep that in mind. So that is for leasing a vehicle. Let's look at financing a vehicle. So when you actually want to buy the vehicle. So if you want to buy a vehicle, instead of financing it, so you can pay the entire amount up front, then this is where you would stop. Your vehicle price, add the taxes to it, and there is your total price. This is what you have to pay. That's it. The more interesting thing is when you do not have the money to pay, but you have some of it. So in this case, the car is priced at $29,500, and it says plus taxes. So you need to add the taxes, which we did here. So $33,335. Now, the dealer is currently offering a 4-year loan at 4.5% compounded monthly with a down payment of $2,000. So what does this mean? It means you can actually get a loan to buy the car. So you don't have to pay the entire amount for the car. You can take a loan. However, you can only take that loan if you have a down payment of $2,000. In other words, if you can pay $2,000, then you can take out the loan. Well, if the car costs $33,335 and you have a down payment of $2,000, that means you don't have to purchase, or you will pay $2,000 of this price already. And so that means you do not need to take out a loan for the entire $33,000, but you need to take out a loan for $31,335. Now, this is where your TVM comes in. As you can see the word here, compounded. This is a loan that you need to figure out the monthly payments for, so that you can figure out how much you have paid in for the entire car at the end of your loan. So that is my goal. My goal is to figure out, I can't pay for this car up front, but I do have $2,000 available as a down payment. That means I will finance the rest of the price, and to figure out how much I will need to pay, I will need to determine how much my monthly payments will be, and doing that for 4 years, how much I will pay altogether. So that's where your TVM comes in. And this is the answer that you should get for your TVM. And here's how the TVM should be set up. First, you have a 4-year loan. So your number on the bottom, the number of years is 4. Your interest rate is 4.5. And your compound frequency is monthly, which means that your compound frequency should be 12. And your payment frequency, since there's no other payment frequency given to you, your payment frequency is also going to be 12. Down payment is $2,000. Now that was what we used to figure out how much of a loan we still need to take out, and that is $31,335. So that was our initial loan amount, $31,335. And then we had the final loan amount, and in a loan after 4 years, your final loan amount should be 0. This number in the middle here, that's what we're looking for, and that is our payment. And that's going to be your setup all the time. And here is a screenshot of how your TVM would look like. So you can see that your monthly payments were $714.55. That's based on the loan that you're taking out with a $2,000 down payment, so for this much. And that went on for 4 years. You had to pay this amount every month for 4 years to pay off the loan. Which means, again, you will take your amount and multiply it by 48. And you see how here you don't add the taxes as you have done here. And the reason is, again, because leasing means you have to pay taxes as well for every lease payment. Here you have included your taxes in the purchase price already. So your total payment comes out to be $34,298.40. That is for your loan. That does not include the initial down payment that you had to pay to be able to purchase this car or to take out this loan. And so that's what you do at the end here. You include that down payment again for your total. So in total you paid for this car, you've paid $36,298.40. So let me just explain the down payment part again. If you want to figure out how much of a loan you need to take out, then you have to take away your down payment. But then at the end, you have to include it back into your total amount that you've paid for the vehicle, because that's part of what you put into the car. So not just how much you paid off with your loan, but also how much you had to pay initially to get the loan. And so that's how we work with buying a vehicle using a loan. And buying a vehicle using a loan is called financing. So those are your two different kinds. Renting looks very similar to leasing, and buying simply means you just pay this price and that's it. So that is it for buying, renting, leasing, and financing a vehicle. What you need to consider in the future as you buy or finance a vehicle or lease a vehicle is which one of these two is your cheaper option. Now, another factor is how much can I pay at the moment? And sometimes the leasing part is better at the moment because that's all we can afford at the moment. But you should always check out the other option of financing, taking out a loan, and then seeing which one of those two, leasing or buying with financing, which one of those two would be a cheaper option. So the next page has a bunch of advantages and disadvantages for leasing, and I will leave that up to you to go through, but these are some of the things that you need to be aware of when you want to lease a vehicle or even rent a house, because by extension this is close to what you would see when you rent a house.